is Aon, and that is Arabic for a helping hand, and I am a storyteller. And this is a story about becoming a storyteller because I don't know. I think even children are storytellers. It's not that. It's more about making it my profession and making it my way of life, my way of thinking about things that, like, sometimes you have some causes and all you do is like post them on Instagram. And I think that that contributes absolutely, but I wanted to like contribute to my career and to my skills about these things within prejudice and a lot of stuff. So before we start this, I have a soundtrack to my story, I guess. Let's just hear it. Let's just take a breather. Yeah. Okay. So this is me. And the reason why I chose this song is because this story is about being taken back to your own roots, and not as in where your parents are born and where your ethnicity is, but as in who you are. Like sometimes you hear a song or see something that reminds you of what or who made you become who you are. So this is me, a child, really cute. What happened, right? But yeah. So this is me as a child, and when I grew up, I got into rap music. Actually, as a child, I used to read poetry in the mosque, um, and it went from that to like rap music because that was a lot cooler kind of medium. You know, all the cool kids were doing it. And yeah, this is me and my one of my best friends holding a microphone, and on the right you see this guy in the jeans as well is my only fan, Jürgen. And yeah, so when I grew up, I sort of had like a anger issue, and the school tried to like brand it as something cool. They were like, it's a program called ART, and it was for aggression replacement training. And I went there, didn't learn that much. It was a lot of obvious stuff that I already knew, and nothing like addressed why I felt the way I felt. And I became something in between. So yeah, in school I wasn't like the best student, and when I was done with high school and the plan was to like pursue higher learning, I kind of had too high ambitions and didn't get admission into any of the studies that I wanted to, and I was heartbroken. And so I found this website where you could like admission yourself into classes that aren't filled yet. And I found this one thing. It was cross-cultural communication. I was like, that's the story of my life. I can do this. I will only get A's. I did not get A's. And I started there, and there was a catch to the school. Uh, and it wasn't a bad catch, but at first it was like, what am I doing? Because it was a Christian college, and I'm a Muslim, and only very strongly religious Christian people, a lot of good people that became my friends, but it was the distance between me and my classmates. And in our study plan, it was also that that we were supposed to go to China the first year. So we went to China for like 30 days, 35 days, and visited different cities. And the gap between us got smaller because we realized that, or they realized that I was just as Norwegian as they were. Like everything that was culturally different or weird for them, it was also different for me because I've never been to China. So yeah, we were kind of in the same boat, and that brought us together. And but the real thing and my real family, my real friends, and my real time was spent with these guys. So because of me not feeling that I fit in at school, I used to find my friends outside of schools, and this is where I made a creative collective with some friends called Being Artful with Style. And it's kind of childish. It's still for like Baus. And it's kind of, it's really like rap crew type of name. But yeah, we had ambitions, and this is one of our first meetings. And here we have people that would make clothing lines and sell out concert venues. And this is Arif, one of the biggest artists in Norway, and I've featured his album with a couple of rap verses and been on tour, and it's been an honor to like share the stage. I must be the person in Norway that has gotten farthest based on one rap verse on an album. But yeah, he took me on tour, and it was an incredible experience. And I've worked on scene and behind scene of a lot of albums, and music is like the first thing I did here in Oslo. And but it was fun and all, but that wasn't like my main destination. And that is kind of the theme of of my story. Is like me, just like me as a child. When I would leave home, I will bring my rollerblades, my skateboard, and my bicycle, just in case I want to do something else. Like I'm that guy. So I was like, yeah, this is cool and all, and it's fun to stand on stage and be a rap star. But I feel like when I look at back at if I release a lot of music, I'm gonna cringe. I'm gonna be like, ah, oh, no, that wasn't what I was supposed to be. So so I thought that this is cool, but that is not the destination. So my friends that want to do music, they did music, and they made one of the biggest and most popular and a great creative collective called Nora Collective. And the friends of mine at that table that you saw that wanted to do design, they went on and made a design bureau. And I was more into journalism. I got more into journalism, and but I got tired of like jobs that didn't pay as much, that wanted you to write a lot, and there weren't good conditions. And I think that I graduated at the time where media was changing, like everything was changing, things becoming more digital, and I was basically tired of being broke. So I thought that, you know what, I just want to write and make some money. So I thought advertising has a lot of money. They have to. So I started just studying advertising. In the same way as I got the first school, I just found a website that had a class that wasn't filled up, and just admitted myself and started studying advertising. And I started working in one of the biggest bureaus in Norway, and I worked with some international brands that a lot of you might know, like Coca-Cola and stuff, but also a lot of and Red Cross, but also a lot of like Norwegian brands like Rema 1000, which is a retail store, a grocery store. I mean, yeah. So everything from that to like cars to milk and lotteries. I did a lot of advertising, and everything we did, it was under this slogan of the company, which is American and called McCann Erickson, and has been here since 1912, and had this slogan called Truth Well Told. And I really thought that was beautiful, Truth Well Told, because that is basically what you're doing as a storyteller. You're telling a story using all your tools to make it as beautiful and as exciting as possible. And I really felt fulfilled at my job when I did stuff for like Red Cross and Donald Duck and reaching out to children. And I was like, you know what? I'm actually contributing something. But after a time, like clients like Red Cross, they don't have the most money, so you can't have that client all year round. And yeah, they just started disappearing one by one. And one of the clients I worked most with was like organ donors. And yeah, I just started feeling that, what am I contributing? Is it really just, and what does the world need? Like, does the world need me to sell them more Coca-Cola bottles? Does the world really need me to, I don't know, advertise? And do we really need to just keep buying and wasting? And I felt like I was contributing to something that was never me. Like that's not me. And I was once again in a position saying, that's not me. Like journalism, cool. I was contributing, and this has had a lot of money, and it was kind of a difficult decision, but I just quit my job basically. And it was scary. It was. I had a plan. I had some money saved up. I didn't like just jump into it blind. but at the same time, I was blindsided from a lot of different like angles. And it was learning by doing, and it was failing and failing and failing and succeeding and failing and failing and succeeding. So as long as I had like one success for every 5 times I tried, I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep going. And I thought that, you know what, I don't have a mortgage, I don't have I don't have children, I don't have any obligations. If it's this is the time to like try, like, what do you really want to be, what do you really want to do, like really want to do, not what do you need, like money, like what do you want to do. And I was like, you know what, I want to do the parts from every job I had that was fulfilling. And I just found this title called créateur, which is from a French word, and is basically a person that makes ideas and creates, a creator. That's what I became. And I went back to Red Cross, and I made this. First thing I did was make this exhibition with children's paintings from Red Cross. And in these paintings, these drawings, they were the first thing that the refugees made when they came from places like Syria, Afghanistan to Norway. And when I saw these drawings, I saw stories. I saw cries for help. I saw children that are portrayed in media as a problem and as a cost, but are really just children. And I want to show that these are children. So this is a replica of the room that I saw within Transittmottak, which is the first place you come as a refugee in Norway. And we also wanted to put their drawings interpreted by different designers and artists on a skateboard, because Norway was like the only country in the world that had like total ban on skateboards until 1989. So in Norway, this represents change. This represents change in attitude. And we thought something was illegal and wrong, and look at how beautiful it is and good it is. And we made it see-through because we wanted to show a side that you really don't see a lot. And I've done some TV. It's in Norwegian, so let's just get through it quick. And it's basically, it's for young boys. It's for angry young boys like myself, and kids that are really like not that good about with sharing their thoughts and feelings. And we wanted to share our thoughts and feelings and show that it's okay for men to feel. And yeah, like it's a lot of problems for boys, especially in Norway. Like most suicides, they are the most likely to I said I will be stuck, right? This is the part where I get stuck. Yeah, most jailed, most suicides, a lot of problems, dropouts. Like all these problems are mostly represented with boys. That was a backward sentence, but you know what I mean. Yeah, okay. So I went back to journalism after a while on my own premises, where I wanted to write as a freelance journalist about the stuff that I really care about and think is important, for everything from esports to culture and prejudice. And I was an editor and for this program, which is the first time in Western media history that we're making a live show on Eid, which is the big celebration day after the fasting month of Ramadan. And we wanted to show something cool and nice about Muslims in Norway, because in Norway, we found out in 2009, 2017 that about 70% of the articles about Muslims and immigrants were negative. And in 2% of the cases, they were used as a source and could say something about their own article or case where they were portrayed as problems. So we wanted to represent people that are really not that represented well in Norway. The goal was not to talk about what is Islam. The goal was to talk about and show who are Muslims in Norway and what kind of people are there.
People trying to make me feel bad about who I choose, who I choose to be. Longer, I apologize. I will not apologize for who I believe in.
Yeah. So the theme of this presentation was creative social responsibility. And you could say that that was my way to do it, quitting my job and doing these independent projects about things that I really love and showing that you could actually make this work and you can actually make, I don't know, you can make money and still like try to do good in society. You don't have to, and I hate to use these words because I know a lot of my friends are working in these different bureaus and industries, but you could make money and not sell your soul, basically, and you can still be who you are and make good in the world by telling the stories. There's so many different ways to do it. Like you can do it through artists and art, like I did, I showed you in the first example, or through TV if you work in TV, and if you work in advertising, you could do it through advertising. And if you're a writer, especially if you're a writer, you can tell the stories easily. And that's what I wanted to do with this next project called Third Culture Kids. It's my first book. And for this book, I was a project leader, I was a writer, I was an editor, I was a assistant to the photographer. I was like basically everything. I was like, everything you need for this book, I will be there, like whatever it is. And like, you know, if you think about immigrants in Norway, like the first generation, they wanted to get a roof over their heads, and the second generation, they just wanted like they chose degrees like lawyers and doctors and engineers because the goal was to get yourself out of poverty and send money home. And my generation is like, oh, who am I, what am I supposed to do, and all this self-reflection. And yeah, I wanted to tell these stories. I wanted to show like from my grandfather that came to Norway and had to sleep outside and was like, I don't know where to go, I don't know what to eat, I don't know, there's no system, and we're treated badly, really, really bad by society and everyone else, as most immigrants and minorities are in the world, a lot of places. So yeah, it's been a long but short road. It's been a short road which has had a lot of stops and a lot of I don't know. I think that is the story we should tell about immigrants, about how they make it, not about when they disagree with their children. Because in Norway, I don't know how it is where you guys are listening from, but in Norway, if you look at even entertainment, like even in Hollywood, you have this book called Real Bad Arabs, which is about how Muslims and Russians are always shown as the bad guys, and how that creates a shorter route for young kids to think that that is the bad guy in the future, and going to war in countries like they're the bad guys are. Like we're learned this from start, that some people that look like this, these are the bad guys. So I wanted to rebrand this. I want to be like, no, the immigrants in Norway are not people that are exclusively selling drugs or robbing people, or taking your jobs or taking your girlfriends, or being bad in community. I want to show these are productive, good, resourceful, thinking, even celebrities and known people that you actually love, but you never count in these people when you're talking bad about immigrants. And you should also think about these people as immigrants and people that you actually love, like this guy, Philip Emilio, incredible artist. You should find him on Spotify. And he's half Chilean, half Filipino. And he's telling the story about being just that, and not going to church and going to the mosque, and not being viewed as Norwegian or English, which was the two languages he knew. And he tells his story through manga, which is a way of drawing comics, Japanese style, because that's what he was into, international child, right? And Elnas, which was a girl that used to live in Norway until she was 13, moved back to Iran, became a graphic designer and clothing designer, came back to Norway and pursued a career, and is doing great. And Sandeep Singh, which is in a common voice to hear on radio in Norway, which is writing to his child. And basically the title in Norwegian is Their Mixed Child of Mine. Like And he says stuff like, you're not statistic, you're not math, you're music. Because, and when you know these things that which I'm saying in the start, like these are the statistics in Norway, where we often put people in a position that you're just a number, you're just a cost, you're just a problem. You're always being told that you're a problem, you need to be fixed, you need to be integrated into society, and that's why you have problems. While the real problems everywhere you see in the world, where there is more crime, is also always about being marginalized, it's about class, it's about poverty. But we don't tell that story. We tell that a story about skin color, not economy, skin color. That's what we got stuck on. And this amazing woman right here called Lilian Halima, or Lil Halima, you can find her colors on YouTube, a popular YouTube series for different artists to sing. And she said, I don't feel Norwegian enough. I don't feel African enough. I don't feel Muslim enough. I feel like I'm not enough for any of my identities. What am I? Because, and I should have told you this in the start, third culture kids basically means growing up in a country different than your parents. So you're not your parents' culture, you're not the culture outside, you're not the first, you're not the second, you're the third. Yeah. So yeah, and she tells her story through paintings, and so does the amazing artist Muhammad Fadlabi, which is from Sudan, living in Norway, and writing to his children as well. Made a painting and wrote a piece to his children about growing up. And Muhammad Shakiri that says that, look, he comes from a diverse place called Holmlia in Oslo, a lot of immigrants, a lot of diversity. And he says that, but my culture is not Holmlia and my culture is not Moroccan. My culture is skateboarding. That's who I am. And he tells a story about finding the skateboard for the first time in his life. And that is this book, that is this project, where I wanted to tell the stories. And some people have written themselves, and some people have spoken while I've written. And it's been a exciting process for me as a creative to take this journey with this book, and it's been received really well. We try. I visit different schools nowadays to like tell the stories, and especially stories like this guy's, which has a big brother which was a gangster who took his own life, and he tells a story about being the younger brother of a gangster. Do I also have to be a gangster? And my uncle. This is my own uncle, the brother of my mother, and he's an actual gangster. This is a picture taken in prison for this book. And I wanted him to like write about, why do people make gangs? Why did you make a gang? Like when I wanted to like make something with my friends, I made a creative collective and they started making music and selling clothes. And, you know, like, why did you do it? And he tells his story, and he tells a story about racism. He tells a story about being bullied and just beaten down. And it's the story of gangs in Norway, to make it really, really short, is about kids being bullied and taking back on the bully. That's the story, but that's not the story that we tell. So I wanted to tell that story. And Jonis Youssef from Somalia, from Norway, he says he's from Skien, which is in Norway, so I guess Norwegian, but has roots from Somalia, and talks about going to Somalia and reflects on, he calls it the world's worst best country. So see, yeah, it's an interesting take on this. So that was like the purpose, to like tell stories from people that come from everywhere in the world. And how can you say that these people are one group? They're from everywhere in the world. Norwegians are from this tiny place, 5 million people, tiny place. We should generalize you. But no, you're generalizing people that come from everywhere in the world. Like, even if I in this book write from the perspective of being a Muslim. And I'm like, there's like 1.7 billion Muslims in the world. How could I represent anyone at all? People are different. People don't think that Indonesia is the biggest Muslim country in the world. You don't hear news from Indonesia. And because the news about Muslims are basically mostly about war. And Chirag, which is one of the biggest artists in Norway as well, talks about his parents. And Zishan Shakar, which is one of the biggest authors in Norway, which talks about not being enough. Like, I've done everything that you told me to, society, their society. I've done everything that you asked me to, and still I'm not enough. And yeah, and that is my message. I think I'll just end it on this. Like, there's been a lot of talk about racism in Norway, in the world, about culture sensitivity, about being fair and politically correct. And I think that it's a good thing. I really think it's a good thing. But I, as a Muslim, cannot say that anger is the answer. Like, take this from a guy that lived in a small city where I was the only Pakistani kid. Yeah, there were people from other countries, but only Pakistani kid. And I didn't make friends by screaming at people. I didn't. And when I wanted to learn them about my culture, I had to explain stuff. They didn't like automatically know. And I could not cancel people. And I still believe that that is just the illusion. Yeah, you can take people's jobs, but you can't like basically remove their existence. And I think that the reason, the answer to a lot of these things are telling stories about knowing better, have a bigger frame of reference. When I go to schools, I say that if 70% of the articles about immigrants in Norway are negative, if you've never met an immigrant and you only read the newspapers, you would kind of be skeptic. We have to put ourselves in the position of the people being skeptic and being like, who is telling you this story that you're believing in, that these people are going to take over Norway? Like, there's one thing that these people, a group in Norway, saying that stop Muslims from taking over the country. Look, I worked with Muslims in Norway, okay? I made this program on Muslims in Norway. We can't even get Muslims in Norway to celebrate their biggest celebration day together. That they don't agree on which day it is, right? I say it is on Monday. I say it is on Tuesday. I say it is never. Like, some people don't celebrate it. So maybe we should start with that, right? So it's this bullshit illusion arguments based on conspiracy theories, and we have to like give children that are growing up today a bigger frame of reference, so that when they see the news, they're like, oh, I know that this is just a part of the story, and this is just a way of showing it. Like, I don't know. I ask kids like, how many percent of kids in the school in the world are vaccinated and go to school, and people answer stuff like 10%, 15%, or stuff like this. It's 90%. Like, there's never been more peace in the world in humanity's history than it is in our time. Like, never. And it's still war. Yeah, you should still help people. Yeah, but we should also be positive. 800 million people are living in ghettos and in poverty, but 137,000 people are getting out of poverty every single day. We tell this story about the world going to hell, but that's not the only thing that is happening. So that is my mission. That is my creative social responsibility, to help people understand the world better and in detail through stories. And I don't care if it's in text. I don't care if it is in clothes, because that is my next project, is in with clothes and with designers. And if it's in design, I don't care what you do. Like, you can contribute. You can tell stories with your medium.